I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
This one's wife. What is she doing? Harry is home. Part 3. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife has been uncharacteristically quiet as of late. We haven't seen her here, there and everywhere, rictus grin on display, elbowing her way into events that she's not been invited to, pat walking across car parks, wearing inappropriate clothing, etc., etc. Naturally, this has led to many people speculating as to what she's up to, and given the fact that there is no firm evidence telling us what she's doing, there has been speculation about the state of the marriage, and also precisely what she is doing at this current time. In light of this, utilising my understanding and expertise in respect of her narcissism, I've been painting a picture for you as to what might be going on in certain scenarios. So far, I've envisaged the possibility of Harry threatening to leave and how that would impact upon her. Similarly, I've suggested that what would be going on if Harry has actually left, as some people suspect? What's the impact on her? And what's the response? Now I'm envisaging an alternative scenario, which is Harry is actually at home, and the gruesome twosome are chortling to themselves, congratulating themselves on how brilliant they believe themselves to be, as they see the world continuing to speculate about the state of their marriage and suggesting that it's over, when in actual fact that it's not. That they're laughing at the misinformation that's been circulated, finding it hugely entertaining because they've duped people once again. Now, whilst it is not perfect, because remember, this is the dynamic between a narcissist and a victim. It's not a healthy relationship by any stretch of the imagination. But Harry hasn't threatened to leave. Harry hasn't left. They're both there. He has been doing some things himself with her blessing, which means she still has that sense of control. This is being done because they see it as necessary to rehabilitate his image. And therefore, there isn't any problem in the relationship beyond those that naturally occur between narcissist and victim, i.e., Harry isn't talking about leaving and hasn't left. He's at home. He's been back and forth, but he's currently still in the relationship with her. That means that she's not got any issues with regard to control, because Harry is under control. He's returned home. He's there chewing a building block in the corner of the room, waiting to be summoned forth and given a green crayon. She is well fueled. Not only does she have the other aspects of her fuel matrix, her mother, staff, the children, etc., but Harry is there, providing her with plenty of fuel. There has been no hole ripped in the fuel matrix because he's still in situ. Accordingly, given the fact that she's decently fueled and there are no control issues surrounding Harry, why then is she so quiet? Ordinarily, there's PR puff pieces being pumped out. She's turning up at awards ceremonies. We're being told about the next great thing that she's going to do. She turns up at some kind of summit, spouting a word salad. She turns up at a symposium looking to grab the mic. She's organised to attend a charitable event to talk about herself. Yet we're not seeing all of that. So what's actually going on? Well, what we're seeing isn't, to my mind, somebody who's thought, do you know what, I'm vastly unpopular, I'll lay low. Because she doesn't take that advice, and her narcissism wouldn't let her do it. Her narcissism wouldn't let her stay lying low in such circumstances, because it would be craving the publicity. It would be wanting her to do something to generate a response and a reaction. It would be straining at the leash to say, create a PR puff piece, turn up at an event, core backgrid, be seen going somewhere. She's talked about there being a Christmas charm offensive. Although, whether that actually manifests after all We were told, wasn't it, about being some kind of summer of joy, and where's that got her? In part, the issue that has arisen is that she's taken a hell of a beating as a consequence of the Hollywood Reporter and, to a lesser extent, what the Daily Beast had to state. I should imagine that she threatened legal proceedings against the Hollywood Reporter only to be beaten back by them explaining, we've got signed affidavits from at least 12 employees, all confirming what we've said. Sue us if you dare. And that threat to control was such that she didn't proceed to take legal action and that she stayed in a position of withdrawal. She backed away from it. That has also coincided with her continued status as persona non grata amongst the great and the good of Hollywood. Many of the A-list regard her as a joke person and want nothing to do with her. Others see her as toxic and therefore don't want to be tainted by association with her. Others see her as a Janie-come-lately and despise her for her attempts to muscle her way in. And because she has got this reputation of attacking the royal family, who remain popular in the United States, and that she's seen as a bully to her staff, many people simply won't want to have anything to do with her. Not only is it the case that people don't want anything to do with her, but the brands and the cosmetic giants and the fashion houses and the content creators are all thinking, well, we don't want to be associated with someone who isn't popular, who's someone who's viewed as toxic and somebody who's a bully. Therefore, the reason that you're not seeing the prominence is she's simply getting NFI'd left, right and centre, which of course is all causing wounding for her. This means that when there's a failure for her to be invited, but she will know about an event, that causes a dip in her fuel levels, which means she has to rely on her fuel matrix all the more, which means that she isn't going to risk turning up to things where she's likely to be rebuffed or challenged, but she's going to remain on home turf, grabbing the fuel from those favourable sources around her, namely Harry, her mother, staff, the few friends that she might have. It isn't the case that she's decided, I will lay low, but rather she is being forced into that position because quite simply the opportunities aren't there for her. More and more people, as a consequence of the downward spiral, have realised that quite simply she is a laughingstock of an individual. And although she has tried repeatedly to cultivate some kind of niche for herself, writer, content creator, broadcaster, fashion icon, lifestyle brand guru, politician, bananitarian, philanthropist, whatever it might be, she's failed at all of those things, with the consequence that not only has she run out of options, but the fact is that nobody's going to come along and rescue her. Oprah doesn't bother with her anymore. Tyler Perry's backed off. Accordingly, even though she is experiencing that itch, her narcissism saying, get out there, the point is that there's nothing being offered for her to go out there and do. She basically has a lack of options. Now, this will have caused her to do some consideration of what she might do next, because one of the factors about a narcissist, which you can view as either a good thing or a bad thing, is a concept of almost bounce back ability. That the narcissist basically tries something, doesn't work, they'll just go on to the next thing, undaunted. And thus with her, even though she's failed at all of these things, she will still be thinking there's something that she can succeed at. Because remember, she doesn't see that she's the problem. Her narcissism will tell her that the book wasn't marketed properly and that the lawyers didn't advise her appropriately with regard to the copyright issues surrounding ARO. That Spotify was useless anyway and archetypes will do better on Lemonada when she eventually gets round to doing proper work in that regard, which she won't. There'll always be an excuse and a reason as to why those things have failed and it'll be nothing to do with her, which tells her that so long as she can continue to shine, it will work. In a way, You might have a grudging admiration for such dogged optimism, but what it does mean is that she's doomed to continue to repeat the same mistakes, with the consequence that more and more people will just think, no, don't want to know you. And the harder she tries, the more that people back off. Accordingly, in this third scenario, the reason that we're not seeing her is that she has a necessity of drawing on home fuel, if you will, because of the lack of options that are available, and that where she has attempted to try and become involved with things, she has found herself rebuffed, wounded and challenged, and therefore has had to retreat. And because this has happened time and time again, and because the options aren't available, she has been forced to remain at home based, being adequately fueled there, but as a dearth of options. It's not her lying low, it's simply she hasn't got the options to be out there like she once has. And therefore, she's channeling her effort into looking at what could she do instead, which means that she will pop up again at some point, that there'll be the next initiative announced. Quite what it'll be, well, I'd invite you to offer your suggestions in the comment section as to what you think she's going to come up with next. But she's not gone away. She's just temporarily back in the box for the reasons that I've already explained. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.